It's dorkshelf.com.
You're now rocking with TDF Everything. Spoiled Rotten.
Spoiler alert.
Welcome back, everybody.
Yes, we're back.
It's Spoiled Rotten with me, Daniel.
And Ben.
Excellent.
And on our home.
Dork
Shelf.
Dork Shelf. I always say that at the end now.
I know, right? Well,
I'm fine with you saying it first.
I think we could say it at the beginning and the end. Make a little Dork Shelf sandwich.
I like that
will.
you say it at the beginning and I say it at the end. It's like teamwork.
That's right. It's
All right.
so teamwork. On today's episode, we are foregoing the news. So we are not talking about the Disney Fox stuff. We are not talking about the Jared Leto Morbius stuff. Even though
Or
it's just
Spider-Man,
fast,
Silk,
rapid crap. Yeah.
all that
shot
stuff.
your way. We are doing a doubleheader. We're doing Luke Cage Season 2, as well as Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom. Now, one of the things I have to say to our audience today is I unfortunately did not get to finish the final episode of Luke Cage Season 2. Now, the reason why is because very exciting stuff happening in my world. I got greenlit for a full season for a TV show. So I've been shooting, creating, producing, and hosting that thing for the past week, months, years, and everything like that. Thank you, Daniel. That's taken up my life a little bit. So what we're going to do a little bit today, but I did get to watch Jurassic World. So I'll be able to put more insights for that. What we're gonna do
later?
Yeah. So what we're gonna do today is talk a lot about the character arcs of Luke Cage, where they've gone, everything like that. Anyways, let's dive right into Luke Cage Season 2. My first thoughts were this season. I feel like all the Netflix shows again suffer from the same thing. It's way too long.
I agree.
Yep.
It's always too long. I don't care how many episodes they do. For some reason, they just seem to spread themselves too thin.
Yeah. I feel like it wouldn't suffer from this problem if they were 22-minute episodes, obviously. But then...
Yeah, I think someone made this point, and it's kind of what I don't like about this culture now, is that, like, initially, these shows, it was cool to watch them all in one go. But especially this season, if this actually was week to week, it might have benefited. Like,
I think so too.
I think also I can just watch them at my own pace, but you also know that, like, the Monday after you say, like, there's going to be spoilers and everything will get ruined for you. And I think that's the problem I don't like, that, like, everyone's, like, there was Jurassic World reviews, like, 2 weeks before anyone could actually see it.
Yeah.
And, like, it just seems like no one gets a chance to just enjoy these things on their own time. Like, everything is like, here you go. Like, we saw it, you didn't, and now we're going to talk about it. And it sucks.
And it's funny because we're a part of that problem, technically speaking.
I mean, yes, but for these Netflix shows, we have consistently waited a week after it's
yes,
been out.
Absolutely.
So, no, you can't watch it week to week and listen to our show, but you can binge it in a more digestible way and then listen to our episodes.
And arguably for me, what I noticed too, when I am in a binging situation, there's a lot more that I miss out on because I tune out after the second or third hour, but I get like the oh shit moments, like that happened. Oh my God, that was huge. But there's like these subtle nuances in the show that I definitely miss that I would capture a lot more if it was week to week. So, I agree that I feel like the format and the length of the season we wouldn't be having the same complaints if it was.
Yeah, because I think more so than last season, there wasn't like a clear drop off in terms of like, oh man, like they got rid of this character and now it's not as strong.
Yep.
Like the show is for me consistently good. Like I loved this season,
right?
But I think that when you package it with, oh shit, I got to get this done, like possibly before the end of the day, then it gets a bit much.
Yep.
Or, and people start to feel like they miss stuff, and it's not as enjoyable of an experience.
Yeah, and because it forces you to rewatch and revisit and do all those things, and then, I mean, don't get me wrong, I would love to rewatch this season because so far my takes on this is it just didn't pull me in as much as the first season did. The first season pulled me in really, really quickly, and that's because it had a really strong villain, Cottonmouth, right off the bat. and that was fantastic. Bushmaster was a fantastic villain in this, I feel. And whether or not he was a villain is, he walks that line very, very well.
Well, no, he is a bad guy. Like,
for sure.
There's no talking around that. He's not Killmonger, but he had a similar
he had
arc.
a motive.
His motive was, I'm getting revenge for people leaving me without parents. And also, like Killmonger, not only did you kill me, but you put me in a worse position than I would have been had nobody, like even if you took me with you or something like that.
Yeah.
Later on, they even show you this straight up, like 2 years later, just try to kill him, shoot him right in the middle of the street.
Yeah.
So you understand what he's going for. And what I liked about this season is that it, at the big, like, I don't know if many people have spoke about this. It's just kind of when I was showering came to me that, like, they fixed the problem you had in the first season about Luke Cage not being as interesting, because they make him, they force him to, like, look inward and be interesting, or at least the audience to actually assess who he is. So it seems like in that first season, you're kind of like, oh yeah, like Luke Cage, we talked about, why is he still, like, not being the hero, and why is he always pushing back? And this season does a great job of unpacking, like, you know what, maybe he just is not a hero, because Claire says it at the beginning, like, yeah, you're giving in to all this anger and not actually doing the right thing. And I think this season proved, like, yeah, like, all things being equal, he probably would be this arrogant asshole that, like, goes around, dabs on camera, has someone following him around so he can do these viral videos and stuff, and wouldn't actually be thinking about what's best, but more like what's easiest for him. Like, how can he?
Right.
And it's his fighting style as well. Like, how can I just get to the end of this? Like, smack people on the head. And I mean, yeah, as we said, the pacing, and also whenever you try to think about the actual science of Luke Cage, it gets wonky, because, like, sometimes he can just tap someone on the head and that knocks him out, but other times he's, like, throwing full-on punches, and not against people like Bushmaster, just other guys, and you're like, oh,
that was
okay.
That was one of the things. One of the last fight scenes I saw, it was him fighting Bushmaster, and then Shades was involved, and then obviously Shades has no powers, except for being a slimy rat, and like, they're full on fighting, and I'm like, you're not holding your punches. You can just stand there, and Shades can do whatever you're doing, and he's still got just the decorative pistol that Mariah has. And I'm just like, what did you? If like a Judas bullet, or was it a Judas bullet? Yeah. If that couldn't penetrate his skin in the beginning, and you're still shooting him with a revolver, like, there's nothing you could have done there. Like, why is? I mean, but it's not like you could.
One thing I liked is that in the first scene, when people shoot him, he's like, "Are you serious?" And they're like,
"I did love that."
Like, they're like, "Yeah, you gotta, like, it has to look like we tried." So, like, the fact that you could even just assume they're counting your bullets or something like that. It's like, we got to shoot these bullets, man. Like,
I got to do it no matter what. Like, we know what the outcome's going to be here, but
that way you can still have the cool visuals and, like, not have to be like, oh, are they still trying? Like, you know, they're not actually trying. You know that it's just like, hey, like, he's going to knock me out, but this other person might kill me if I don't actually make it seem like I put in an effort.
That's exactly it. And that was what I really, really appreciated, because the whole season could have been like him just showing up and everyone would be like, okay, yeah, we give up immediately. Yeah. But the idea that he was the lesser of two evils, getting an ass kicking by Luke Cage, is a way better option than going back to your crime boss and being like, listen, man, we just gave away all your money. We gave away the warehouse and all that kind of stuff because we were going to get our ass kicked. And they're like, nope, boom, you're going to die instead. So I really like that dialogue to justify the action that still went into it.
Yeah, but I think it was interesting that they really dug into his anger and, like, pinning that to his dad.
Yep.
That very powerful scene for me at least, when he punches a hole in the wall and Claire's like, "Yep, okay, I'm done. Like, I promised myself I'd never be in a situation like this," and I'm done. And you're like, "Yep."
That was hugely powerful. That was one of the oh shit moments where you're like, "Oh my god, you are walking that anger line." But, like, from an acting choice standpoint, there's not a lot of things that would hint at that, except for that one scene. It's like, oh my god, yeah, you're totally giving into your anger now. Because to me, Mike Coulter, he does a great job of acting and being Luke Cage, but I don't think the anger comes across what he has, or if it does, it's more of an anger that's like running beneath the still waters.
But that's the thing. That is, you're watching someone go out there and people shooting them, like even if you know you can't get hurt by it, and I think the season did a good job of putting that just a bit of reasonable doubt in there, because he does get hit with the Judas bullet that one time, and it still affects him. It doesn't kill him, but it still is like that took him out of commission for a bit.
Yep.
Like you don't know how many other people have those bullets, so like anytime someone pulls out a gun, you still like it still could be that thing that decapacitates him for like however long. I don't even know if I just said an English word, but like that like incapacitates. But like he like you don't. Yeah, like that guy had that, and I was just like, how did he even have that? Because Luke Cage was like, you really think that was going to stop me? And the guy's like, yes, I do.
Yeah. The other thing, too, is like he still has that one weakness. There's that one fight with him and Bushmaster at Rand facilities where Bushmaster's using that knife and dragging it across his face, but obviously pulling it close to his eye. And Luke Cage is actually showing fear because it's like that's the only part where he possibly could be penetrated, which is interesting to me. And like it's just the whole concept of everything was very, very interesting to me this season because he knows his strengths, he knows his powers, he knows he's gotten stronger. I like the justification that they gave him to be stronger.
Because they had to take him back to the facility.
Yeah, in season 1, and it's like, maybe down. This. And it's not like, definitively this was it. It was just, maybe this was
and
the
that's
cause.
what I like is because it's a maybe, you don't know how many times he can do that. Like maybe that he did use up his one Judas bullet thing that time. Right. So yeah, but what I was getting at is that's someone who's doing that constantly, and then for it to be the one person he assumes not to attack him to get him to get to that point, that's what I think makes it powerful. It's that he obviously is being attacked literally all the time, and then to come home and still feel attacked is what would push you.
Oh, easily. I mean, if you don't.
So I don't think you need to telegraph that he can do that. I think it makes sense in that moment that he actually is at his boiling point, and he's like, "No, just stop!" Like because he has consistently told her, "Stop asking about my dad. Don't talk to him." Yep. She talks to him, so he's already up there. Like, I can't believe you went to talk to him. Yep. And then she keeps probing, and he loses it.
Yep. You know, and it's one of those things where anger is one of those really, really toxic things.
Yes.
And it's not to justify his action, but you understand where the rationale is coming from.
Yeah, no, I'm not justifying. I think I'm building. That's what I'm using to build.
No, not saying that you are, but a lot of people would be like, "Yeah, that's justified response." I'm like, no. You're still in control of your own emotions, no matter what happens. Like everything like that. That's the point I was trying to get across. And for him to lose it against the wall, you know, just. To bring back her triggers and her past and her like that was a powerful moment for me, and to be like, oh my god, yeah, this is the beginning of the downward spiral, which is surprising me that I didn't like this season more because you know me, I love when heroes have a downward spiral and have that arc, and then hopefully season 3 is the point of redemption. I think that's clearly where it's going to go. For him to be like, nope, I got to be in check. I got to do this, and I have ideas of what season 3 might be, not having watched the final episode. But it's all very clearly leading to that point of like, yeah, this is going to fall. Other people are going to be involved to pull you back out, and you're going to have to rehabilitate yourself out, and then maybe whatever happens. But that was the beginning of the end for Luke Cage to me, in this season, and that was very interesting.
Yeah, so I guess what we can do is kind of go through the characters. There's not going to be a specific order other than the order that's on this site that I'm on. Nandi Tyler, who is the new cop that Misty has to deal with when
the new cop, as in the
so not the white guy who likes her. No. Like you know how her. I don't remember what that other Bailey or something, like the other white guy that is there who isn't Scarf, because obviously Scarf died, right? But like he's there and he's kind of happy that Misty's there, and he's like, oh yeah, like just so you know, people aren't happy you're here. And then his like, I want to say she's black, but she might be also Latina,
right? Oh yeah, I see who you're talking about.
Yeah, and she like sings, and at one point she's like, why don't you just go audition for The Voice? She was an interesting character. She's actually at the bottom of this list.
Yep.
Of people that were new, but what I liked about her was that they didn't just make her the antagonist. Like she wasn't just like, oh, no, I hate you. Like they have they have history. They were on the same basketball team. You actually find out that like she is prone to setting people up because she set that one girl up to like be caught by the basketball coach so that she could start, but then Misty went in, and she's holding on to that whole like, oh, you took my spot. She's like, no, like I earned that spot, just like I've earned my spot here. And and at one point they're working together, even though it's kind of just like Nandy's just biding her time till she can make that deal.
Yeah.
But like I appreciated that they gave her a bunch of different things to play.
I did like that too. At first I was just like, what are they building towards? And like even Misty says it in some dialogue where it's like, this isn't high school anymore kind of deal. And I was just like, thank God, because I see so much of that behavior still in in my personal everyday life where people are still like reenacting the past and like pulling up high school. I'm like, yeah, we're clearly not there anymore. Like to see that, and then that satisfying ending for her character to be like, yep, you got busted, you're getting your face punched out, and then she's
that was great.
Yeah, that was amazing. She was like, get up so you can get the ass whooping you deserve kind of deal. And that was the funny thing to me. I'm just like, what was your end game there? You're surrounded by police. And you punched her, and you tried to. How far did you think you could run? What was
she
the
didn't run well either. I was just like, oh, you're not going anywhere then. Yeah. Like she had like her like coat on, so it was like dragging her back, and you're just like, oh, you're not going anywhere.
Just like, okay, fine. Well, I'm arrested. I'm screwed. I'm just gonna punch you in the face and just like, and then hands up.
Yeah,
like there was no end game there, but I mean, like it was a really satisfying thing to watch her.
I'm glad she got caught.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so I like that was a big thing because, as we said before, we were recording, this very well could, like, Misty clearly has proved she can hold her own in a show. Like, she could have her own thing. But
while we're talking about Misty, I mean, let's continue that conversation about Misty. To me, the first half of the season, like Jessica Jones Season 2, should have been named. Like, this should have been named Misty Knight, and Jessica Jones Season 2 should have been named Trish. Because it was all about their development. It was more about their development.
Well, what I'll say is there's more demonstrative stuff going on with her, but I still think throughout the whole season, you need to focus on what Mike Coulter's doing in terms of tracking his deterioration.
Yeah.
So yes, Misty, there's a lot of big moments for her because she is physically dealing with not having that arm.
Yep.
So there's more of like there's more of an obvious arc for her, which is, I mean, Mike Coulter's in that place where like Luke Cage, there's not much you can do with there's not much visually you can do with him because he can't be shot up really, so he can't like be recovering from bullet wounds. He can't be like it is just like it's just him all the time. So you have to lean in more to what Luke Cage is doing. But yes, Misty Knight was great. She's like one of my favorites from the first season anyway, so I'm glad that she was always around.
For season 1, for me, it was all about her. It was way more interesting, and because of the point where she was the only one stepping up to be like, I gotta do this, versus like Luke Cage was like, I don't want to do it.
And she has that moment where like when she tried to do the police work, it actually got someone killed. So like that still plays into this season where she's like, no, like what about Candace? You can't let Shades or Mariah get away with anything because of Candace, and that it's good that they remembered to like hold on to something like that would affect her, that she decided like, no, I know how to police properly, and then still got someone killed. Yeah,
and I really, really like that episode with her and Connie from Iron Fist, where they basically like did that, no, we're gonna do this boxing self-defense thing for a little bit. And then
the Daughters of the Dragon.
Yeah, and then the bar fight where she just kind of sits back. She's like, I'm going to drink this while I watch you defend yourself because you right now I know you have it in your character. I know you have it in your soul to fight yourself. You don't need me right now. And then it's not until she gets pulled into the fight too that she actually does something, but at the same time doesn't actually help her out.
No, she doesn't help her. She just fights.
She defends herself.
Yeah.
And I thought that was great.
Yeah. I liked every time someone from a different show showed up.
Oh, like, that was the strongest episodes to me, I feel.
This is exactly what I think they needed from this. And I like that they still hinted at like, it was kind of done funnily in Defenders that like Luke Cage is kind of like fuck Daredevil, like he's not that cool, and like it came up again with Claire more in a more serious way this time because he's like, oh yeah, you're always around, like, and you would be like, yeah, he probably wouldn't ask for Matt Murdock's help actually, and that like he does reach out for help specifically from Danny. Clearly they're friends. No mention of Jessica Jones, but that's fine.
No, there was mention of Jessica Jones, but it was through dialogue only. It was just like Danny was like that one episode, which I personally thought was one of the strongest episodes.
Oh, episode 10, yeah.
Yeah,
when
where
Danny shows up.
Danny Rand shows up and to hint at that Heroes for Hire or whatever they're building towards. I thought that was really, really, because like, you might not know this, you might not think this, but you're not alone. We got your back. All of us do. I got your back. Jessica Jones and even even Jessica Jones has your back and all that kind of stuff. So she was just mentioned in.
Okay, I didn't catch that.
Dialogue
but also,
really, really quickly, but I mean,
what I meant more was him addressing being able to.
Yeah.
But you make a good point. Someone already did the addressing of Jessica Jones for him. I really appreciated that. What's her name? Colleen Wing or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, that she was there.
Connie. Yeah.
Oh, I definitely think it's Colleen.
It says she. I don't know. Whatever.
But yeah, that was a good matchup, and I like that they did that. And since you mentioned Heroes for Hire, I like that they were constantly in positions where Luke Cage was being hired by bad guys because he's like the hero. And I was like, yeah, I would watch this. Like if it was they just constantly going from gig to get hired by like these people, be like, no, you have to protect me from this greater evil or something like that. And I was like, yeah, that's cool. I like that. He even said his famous line that he says to Doctor Doom in the comics, "Where's my money, honey?"
Yep.
So that was nice that they brought that in. Did we talk about?
Colleen Wing? Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. That's sorry. Looking at the wrong cast sheet. So from Colleen Wing had an episode in there interacting with Misty Knight. And
the way Simone Missick, who plays Misty, said it, she was like, well, like they're not, it's not that they're like best friends yet. It's just they went through something intense. Like as Colleen even says, like you stepped up and like took that blade for me. Like that was meant for me and you took it. Yeah. Lost your arm. So like they've been through this experience and that's what keeps them together. Like they're kind of like their own support group. So that I appreciate that they're holding on. And Simone said she's going to be in Iron Fist season 2. So like there's going to be more Misty Knight.
Oh, great. Let's talk about Misty Knight a little bit more. I was very happy with the way they introduced the bionic arm. I was very confused as to the newly acquired powers that she got. Not from the arm, obviously, but from her ability to be like, I'm going to close my eyes, meditate, and see
that was
myself
in the first season.
The crime scene. That was in the first season?
Yeah.
That was something I definitely forgot then.
It's also not really a power. It's what they show. A lot of movies do that. Yeah, okay. A lot of movies do that where it's like, he's a kooky detective that could go to the scene of the crime.
Oh, kind of like the Arkham video game series where it's like detective mode for Batman.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, cool. That's just a trope that people use. But yeah, that's definitely from the first season.
Gotcha.
But I like that in this season she constantly gets interrupted and she can't actually complete it. Mm-hmm. It's like Luke interrupts her the first time and then that captain, I don't even really know the ranks, the other woman from the first season. No, the good one, the female.
I thought you meant the male one.
The guy who who had a snitch.
Yeah, I'm like, what are you even doing here? Other than the snitch, that was all you're good for. But yeah, that was the good captain. Yeah, you're the female captain at the end.
She interrupts her as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, Misty Knight always strong for me. I also like the arm. I like that they didn't go right to she can use it for super strength. That she just noticed when she got frustrated that she broke the table or whatever. She's like, oh, all right.
Yeah, that was great.
Because she doesn't even use it in a fight the first time she has it. Really, she has to build up to actually using it to punch. She's still using just the one hand she has.
I loved how it became something that she had to learn how to use throughout the season, as opposed to being like, boom. It's like, because of the technology, it's like using an arm and using my nerve receptors that are still there, that the guy installs it and all that kind of stuff. But and it's pretty fantastic. Did I want them to have a fight scene where the bionic arm was removed or falls off or is damaged? Absolutely, because I wanted that to be like, I wanted that whole like arc of like Colleen to be like, no, it's you're the fighter.
But her first fight is without the arm, so you've already earned the idea that she gets that she can do it without the arm.
True. I just wanted to see it again because I thought she's such a strong character and I loved her so much. Moving on, let's talk about Tilda Johnson, a newer character added into this, played by Gabrielle Dennis, who is played by who plays the character of what's her face, Mariah's daughter, the estranged daughter, and we find out in a very heavy dialogue kind of exchange that it was through the daughter through rape, which is why she was like
Pistol Pete.
Yeah, Pistol Pete's rape of Mariah that created Tilda, and through that was heavy. That scene was just so heavy. And it was just brutal, and just the whole thing was like, yeah, I never loved you, and I hated looking at you, and that's why. It's just all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that honesty, like where she's kind of like, yeah, I learned to like you, but yeah, I did not want to look at you.
Yeah, and that's why she was estranged. Because at first I was just like, you're just gonna write this character in, not knowing anything about the background of the character. I'm like, you're just gonna write this character in. That seems weird. And then they have that exchange. I'm like, okay, that's why. That makes a lot of sense. I enjoyed her.
You didn't get to see her best part.
No,
where she kills her mom.
Yeah, I didn't get to see that
with the kiss of the spider. Yeah, little red lipstick,
little poison ivy.
I don't know. I mean, obviously, what they've set up is that could potentially work on Luke. Who knows?
Whatever.
Yeah, I mean, she is being set up as like the neck, because basically what you didn't see was they read Mariah's will to Tilda and Luke at the same time,
right?
And so Tilda gets something that makes her happy. Even she gets Cottonmouth's piano.
Oh yeah,
and she's like, oh good, and I'm like, I mean, you could have just taken that. Like, what's Luke gonna do with that? You could have just taken it. And then they're like, and Luke gets Harlem's Paradise, and she's like, what the fuck?
Yeah,
like, I will burn this place to the ground.
Right.
So she's obviously going to be coming for Luke next season.
Yep.
But and as we mentioned off mic, what I appreciated was that her hairdo in that last scene is exactly the way they do. I hate the name Black Mariah in the comics right now. This current run is
that her name?
Yeah, she even says in the show. She's like, because that's what gets her to kill Cottonmouth. So in season 1, Cottonmouth's like, no, you wanted it, and he's like teasing her that way, and then it goes Black Mariah, and that's what makes her actually just hit him over the head.
Yeah.
And she says in this season, and this is what I like about this show, and I think gets lost on other people, that they really dig into, like Black Panther, they dig into issues that happen with Black people, with like the skin tones and stuff like that. So the idea that Alfre Woodard is a darker skinned woman, that played into her not loving herself as a kid, and kids would call her Black Mariah, even though everyone's black, but she's the blackest, she's not light. And so that initial thing from her uncle made her feel good, just the way the uncle made Cottonmouth feel good. He made Mariah feel good by being like, no, you're beautiful, you're smart, and she said like that's kind of what lured me in, and then he decided to take it too far. Yeah, and that's a cultural thing that a lot of people would not pick up on from a race perspective, because the thing is, like, even I know from the slave perspective, there was like dark skin, light skin privilege. Light skin privilege, and then the value of a slave was more if they were lighter skinned or something like that, and that exists the same in a lot of Asian places where it's just like, oh, you're a darker skin, that means you're a field worker, that means you can't be high up on the social ladder and everything like that, and the paleness, and you still see that to this day, where like in places like Korea, all their products have skin bleach. Oh yeah. When I was in Vietnam, I was like, I had to be very careful when I was buying shampoo and stuff.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, bleach.
Everything's got bleach in it for sure. But for that reason,
and you can see it play out now, like when people want to make fun, like the tides have kind of turned, but like when people want to make fun of a black person, so they like Drake, even though he is half black, so he's light. Why
are you acting light skinned?
But you look at this light skin rage or beige rage, they call it. So like there is that divide. And that plays into the Black Mariah aspect of her character. And that's why I liked that the show kept it to just calling her Mariah Stokes or Tillard.
Yeah.
But, so Tilda Johnson is great.
Yeah.
I mean, when you realize that she is kind of deciding, like, she's kind of like a Black Panther in that way. Like, actual T'Challa of, like, like I
What's my
want
role
my
here?
mom's
What do I do here?
approval, but also it turns out she's kind of a piece of shit. So maybe I got to change things. I mean, she still goes, and even Misty says at one point when she goes to talk to Tilda, and she's like, "I know my rights," and she's like, "Yeah, just right there, you sounded exactly like your mom."
Yeah.
And then you realize
shit.
yeah, as much as she thinks she has the moral high ground, she's pretty much just as like devious as her mom and
Right.
like prone to doing illegal things.
Yeah, something like the apple never falls too far from the tree, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, no, she was a great character. I was very questioning where she was coming from for the first couple episodes. She was introduced, and then it got much more interesting with her. So I'm glad I just had that. Just kind of kept with that. Theo Rossi, Shades.
So before we get to Shades, I want to talk about Comanche because that plays into what makes Shades interesting this season.
Okay, yeah.
Is that revelation that they were lovers in prison, and that if this were done in a different time, you would have just left it at Comanche being like, or whatever. What is prison's
Darius?
Shade says something about like whatever. Like he makes it rhyme, but basically it happened in prison, so it's just for that. Like, they say something like "gay for the stay" or something like that.
Yeah, gay
but
for
like,
stay, gay for pay, or
but
gay
like
for pay
Comanche's like, no, like I
thing,
love
for sure.
you.
Yeah.
And I appreciated that like they didn't play him like he wasn't sassy or anything like that. He just played like every other thug in this show, but he had this love for Shades and was like, so that's why he would always press Mariah and be like, what is your deal, man? Like, is this really what you're into? Or like, because he kept pushing, like, you think he's just like, oh, she's too old for you or something, but he's really pushing, like, no, like, we are a thing. Like, we love each other. You can't possibly love her.
Yeah.
And I liked that was played out, and that, like, when it turns out he's the snitch, Shades has to, like, be like, oh, shit, like, I loved you so much I didn't even notice that's what you were doing. It's my job to notice this stuff. And
that admission of love when he was about to kill her, I was like, holy crap, that was really powerful. I thought just you were denying that shit and just like, to your point, like gay for the stay or whatever. It was one of those things where, and that was when he started unraveling. I'm like, it messed him up. It messed him up so much, and then to continue working with Mariah after that and having that like everything impact him even more because Shades
when he had to go see Comanche's like mom and lie to her about like what happened, and then later on they actually have Comanche's mom in the room, and then that smack like probably just destroyed him.
Oh yeah, easily.
Or spit. Sorry,
she spit. The spit in his face. That was a hugely powerful thing for me to see, and something that to address like homosexuality in the Black community, which is like, you know, it's something that's very difficult to talk about, I think. And I think they did a really, really good job of like, we're like, it started in prison, now we're out here, I'm still in love with you, kind of idea, this is who I am, but at the same time I gotta be thug in the streets.
But that's one thing, I don't think he code switched or anything. He just is who he is, and he loves who he loves, and that like it was like, I love Shades, we had a thing together. Is that still a thing, or like it's more because he doesn't change how he interacts with people when he's with Shades. He's exactly the same as when he keeps the same energy with Mariah as he does with it. Like that's what I meant. Like I liked that portrayal, that it was like he wasn't like, "Ooh, I love you, honey," and then being like, no, like it's like he like, as much as it's no one's business really what your sexuality is,
of course.
Like he had the confidence of someone who is straight that he doesn't have to prove anything. Like he's not trying to compensate or anything. He just no, I love this man, and like that is part of what drives him. But also that idea that he's snitching, and it's obviously going to run up against Shades at some point because he's snitching on Mariah, who Shades. So you can read it in these different ways of like, yes, he's jealous, but also like, man, you need to step away from her because things are going to fall apart for her as well. Like I need you to come back on my side because things are going to go down against Mariah.
That's a very interesting interaction to see for sure.
So I did like the Comanche storyline a lot.
Now, obviously, we have to talk about Shades. How conflicted he was during this, and of course, his final turn to snitch to kind of, I guess, redeem himself, so to speak, and regain that moral center for himself.
Okay, now I remember what happened.
Yeah.
By the way, yeah, it doesn't work out for him.
Oh.
Because basically what happens is when he signs that deal, they're like, yeah, that was all based on if we can convict her, but she's dead, so there's no conviction. So now
shit.
everything is on him now. So he has to take all of her. Everything
gotta
they were
take the
hitting
fall
her
now,
for,
eh?
he has to take the fall for.
Interesting.
So yeah, there was no redemption for him. It was just like, because he's like sitting in a diner, like feeling pretty smart, and then they're like, "Yeah, you're under arrest.
Yeah,
You're under arrest." And he was
so
like,
smug about it.
"Obviously, you're joking." And
Yeah.
she's like, "No, like if you actually read the thing, because there's a scene where he says everything." And and the lawyer is like, "What the fuck? Like that was my son." He's like, "Yeah, you should be pretty mad about this."
Yep.
So she's like, "Well, then I'm recusing myself. I'm out." And she's like, "Yeah, you alienated your lawyer before you actually got to read the details, didn't you?"
He did that twice. Well, no, one person was like, "Yeah, I am no longer representing Shades," because he realized how much shit it was in. He's like, "Yep, I'm not having this on my track."
No,
record
that
or
was
something
because
like
that guy was always, I don't remember his name, but
Right.
like you're talking about like the
The
tall
white-haired
lawyer with
guy,
the kind of
yeah,
the hair,
the gray
yeah,
hair.
he was always just following the money. So
I see.
he just learned that all the money went to Bushmaster,
Oh, I
and so
see.
he was like, "Well, I'm out."
Yep.
And then he represented Bushmaster until they were able to prove she's not allowed to sign that under duress, which
Right.
is what the situation was.
I see.
So all the money comes back to her, and then he comes back to her as well.
Right.
And he's like, so yeah, that wasn't like he knows how bad he is. He was just straight up like, "Oh, I don't have to do this. Great, I'm out
right.
because you're not going to be able to pay me."
Fair enough. And then the second lawyer, the female lawyer that he had, was just like, he was so cocky in that scene. I'm like, there's something in the back of my head. I'm like, this is going to come back to bite you in the
Oh, yeah.
ass. I'm glad that
It did.
it did
Big time.
pay off from my perspective.
Because he lost everyone.
He lost everything.
I guess he did love Mariah.
It's hard to tell.
It's hard
if
to
he
tell,
did.
but I think he likes her on some. I mean, whether or not he liked her after the rum punch
To me,
massacre that
yeah.
they did is up for debate. But I would imagine, yeah, there was an element of it that like he may have gone in because he's like, that's the new power player. But I think he legitimately had feelings for her.
I think he did to a certain degree, but I couldn't tell if it was because it was through through some of the scenes, and I thought these scenes were really, really powerful earlier on in the season where Mariah and Shades were together, and you see Mariah, instead of being like, I'm power, I'm the queen of Harlem, I'm this and everything like that, you saw her be very emotional, open, and like just hugging up against Shades and being that person, like that submissive, more of a submissive character and everything like that to Shades. And I just don't know if I couldn't tell ever in the season whether or not Shades loved her or he loved the power that he felt with that dynamic.
I don't think he ever felt power with that dynamic because most of this season is him being like, I'm not your henchman. Stop
absolutely.
treating me like. So that's what I'm saying. I think it was more he just liked her because he wouldn't put up with that because she wasn't treating him like an equal ever.
No, yeah.
So like,
there's certain things like,
and like
you can't talk to me like
and
that.
And even
Yeah.
people around him never considered him her equal. So
Yeah.
that's what I mean. Like the optics of it and the actual internal thing of it was never that he was in a powerful position.
Right.
He's always looked at as one of her henchmen.
Yep.
So it would have to be that he's there because he just, like, for some reason, likes her.
Right. Interesting.
Or what people said, that the sex must be really great. But yeah, because I think that was part of the reason why he kills that initial guy when they go to like the guy's like couch sales place. And the guy's like making fun of him and doing it in Spanish, so I don't really know what was said. I can make assumptions, but like everyone, like it's quite clear that no one looks at it like this is Mariah and Shades together. It's Mariah and then her little lapdog Shades.
Second in command.
So like,
Shades, if anything.
yeah. So yeah, he's not in a position of power.
I see.
But
he's in a position of like delegated power, so to speak.
Right, but
that's
it's
all power
but,
only
but his whole
powers
thing
out.
is
Yeah.
I should be treated as your equal, and
Yeah.
and I liked that they made him a little more because I liked him in the first season. And this has nothing to do with his acting ability because I do think
Yeah,
he
that's
falls
exactly
flat.
it. Yeah, he does fall flat.
I think he falls flat in certain scenes,
Yep.
but the character is so well written that even in the
I
first
agree.
season I liked it because that's my thing about whatever. I'm gonna get into. I said it in the last episode. If you want to know what I think about Shades, go to listen to our Luke Cage episode that I don't remember the number of, but you can look on it.
It's on backlog.
Yeah, but what I liked was this season. they gave him more to work with. And,
Yes.
well, they gave everyone more to work with. I think that is why I love this season, is that it's already established I love these characters and would spend time with them.
Yep.
So the fact that everyone gets more interesting, just made it that much more enjoyable to me.
Absolutely.
That I'm fine spending the meandering time with them because they are more interesting.
That was my issue with Shades. I'm like, he's a well-written character. I just don't like Theo Rossi and his acting choices that he makes.
Yeah,
Just,
I mean, he gets better, especially when
absolutely.
he's doing his confession and
Yeah.
like alienating the lawyer.
Yep.
But yeah, there's
He falls flat.
clearly
like you said.
some moments that fall flat, and
Like,
it's
really?
unfortunate. And we'll get into that when we talk about Bushmaster and all that stuff. That there's just some stuff that I admittedly was willing to look past because I think the character on paper is so interesting, and like the visuals were cool as well. But like, yeah, there was just some stuff that I understand if people run up against or bump up against it, but for me, I was just like, nah, this is cool. Like I'm down.
Yeah. I guess we're at the.
So do we want to talk about Danny Rand, because that's the next person on this list?
Yeah, let's talk about Danny Rand. I loved him a lot.
Yeah, as I said in Defenders, him and Luke Cage together works. Like
that
it just
energy
works.
is really good on-screen chemistry.
And I
for
even
them.
really liked it. It was a subtle thing, but that he bought one of the Power Man shirts and wore
I
it.
loved
and
it.
So like you could see him while he's fighting, because he said
Yeah.
like, because Luke's like, I don't really need you to be here. He's like, no, if I see someone fucking with my friends, I'm gonna come and help them.
Yeah.
And it's just like, that's good. And then again, the problem is they put that at episode 10, and then he's just gone, and you're like,
Yeah, that's the.
well, I mean, he still needs help. So
Yeah, that really bugged me. I was
it's
like,
weird that you're gone.
you helped him only take down the Nightshade grow up.
Yeah,
That was it.
and it was amazing. Don't
it
get
was
me wrong.
good.
I don't know if Patty Cake is from the comic books, but they set it up like it was when he's like, Patty Cake,
Yeah.
hit my fist or hit my hand. I was like, awesome.
That was
or when
awesome.
he throws him and he does the like double fist.
Yeah.
I was like, this is great. Like, I don't understand why this is the first season that actually understood mixing these people
Yes.
together is a good idea.
Well,
like
yeah.
Daredevil season 2 mixed in Punch, but he was a new character, so it
Yeah.
always felt like, well, we're doing a backdoor spin type thing here.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I think the shows have come to this point now where like you need to mix them up. Like they
Yes.
need to be working together.
Absolutely, and that's with the inclusion of Foggy.
Yeah, we can talk about
moments and
Foggy
everything
after
like that.
Danny, but like,
well, we don't really need to.
well, I'm just saying I liked that was the thing that they stopped him from being like, oh, like I can't believe you're being you. He's just like, hey, just put on a mask or something.
Yeah.
And then Luke Cage's like, well, no, because no one's gonna not know who I am.
Yeah, it's like, I'm a bulletproof black man in Harlem. It's not like putting on a mask would do anything. And I'm like, yep, absolutely. And the whole thing is like with Foggy being, I can't even believe I'm going to say this right now, but have you considered wearing a mask?
Yeah.
I like that for Foggy. But yeah, back to Danny, and to me that episode was probably the strongest, because they got that on-screen chemistry so much through the entire episode.
I don't think it's the strongest, but I do think there's more wow moments in it.
Yes.
I think obviously what takes it down a couple notches is the fact that the placement means that it really, like, it technically could have just been anywhere. And also what I was thinking was that Danny would actually help him with his chi, or like help him with his fight style, but he just kind of like does it for a kind of second, and then it's just like,
and then he's like,
no.
Yeah, he's like, oh, well, I don't know about you, I'm gonna take a long ass nap after this Chinese meal. That's about it. This mushu pork is pretty damn good. And I was just like, really, that's how you're gonna write yourself out of the rest of the season? Okay, that sucks.
And then they did that thing that I hate, where he still doesn't believe that Danny Rand fought a dragon. I'm like, didn't you just fight in a fucking dragon skeleton? Yeah. Like, that was the end of Defenders, that they were in a skeleton, like the skeleton of a dragon,
but,
and he's still like, no, was it really a dragon? I'm like,
level.
Yeah,
I didn't like that either.
Like, yes, it is a real dragon.
And I love how Danny called him out on that shit. He's like, listen to me.
Yeah,
you are a bulletproof black man. You see this.
Yeah.
Do the magic it does, and you see all this kind of stuff. How is it hard for you to believe that I fought an actual dragon?
And also,
like, that was
without
great.
Any of that, you fought in a dragon skeleton.
Yes.
That makes no sense that you could actually have that kind of empirical evidence that there are dragons.
Yep.
And then be like, nah.
Yeah.
You didn't
I still don't believe it. It's like when people are like, nah, I don't believe narwhals exist. That to me is hilarious. I'm just like, I'm sorry, there are photos, there are skeletons. How do you not believe they exist? It's hilarious to me.
Yeah, I don't know. I wish they would drop that trope. Like it's a weird thing. I always
weird.
bump up against it,
Yeah,
and
I know.
I'm just like, it's only happened once in this season, so it's fine. But I was just like, it really makes no sense at this point. Like it's come on.
To me, what did you think about Danny Rand? Still, he's matured a lot since we saw him in his own series.
And he knows how to use his fist.
He knows how to use his fist
none
a
of that
little bit
bullshit.
more on command and all that kind of stuff. It's not like this, whatever.
The problem is he still sucks with the fight choreography, which is
totally.
interesting because Bushmaster does not suck with fight choreography.
That's what I was thinking. I was just like, what the hell is going on here? You suck with your fight choreography still.
It's just weird that you would
And you're
have
known
them
for
in the
kung
same
fu.
show because it's like,
And I'm like,
this
the
guy
whole-
isn't even supposed to technically be a master. He's just some guy that's like,
It's so good. He just knows how to fight.
Yeah.
That was it. But yeah, no, that was ultimately. I'm like, did you find the fight choreography for him? I'm glad you're like,
You
no,
know
because
what,
to
like,
me, I'm like,
I
whatever.
feel like there's something about the show that looks cheaper than the other Netflix shows as well.
This one, like Luke Cage season 2.
Luke Cage.
I agree, man.
But
I feel like every.
as I said, I think the writing is strong, and we'll get it when we get to Bushmaster. We'll
Yep.
get into specifically what I liked,
Yep.
just because I think we'll have to move on soon. But like,
Yep.
I like the Danny Rand episode. Obviously,
Yep.
that it's exactly what I want.
But I'm so glad you said something about like how cheap it felt.
It looks
It
cheap,
felt like a lot of the scenes were CGI.
and I don't know why they would do it that way.
It's
I don't know
really
how that
weird.
happens, unless they're really like, let's just put all of our, because what I thought was this was a great course correction from all the people, what people said
Yeah.
was bad about the first season
Yep.
in terms of, I mean, it's Netflix. They don't know how to pace these shows. As I said, even
Ouch.
that 8 episodes Defenders was too long.
Yep.
But like, which apparently my mom disagrees with. She thought it was perfect.
Right.
And I'm just like, all right, fair enough. But like, yes, it was a poorly paced season, but that's not just a Luke Cage problem. That's
No, that's
all of these
the
shows have a
Netflix
problem
Marvel
with that.
crossovers.
But yeah, it did look kind of cheap, and I don't know. Maybe it's because they have so many more characters to
See,
service.
I honestly thought that so to me the scenes that bothered me the most, that looked the cheapest, were in the police headquarters, because I felt like every time we saw any of them in the police headquarters, it was a green screen, and I'm like, why did you need to do a green screen for something like this? And to me, I'm just like, oh, is it one of those things where you're just trying to show off how small the space is in Harlem, for something like this, how underfunded this is, how basically how street level and how what the reality is, that to shoot in an actual building would limit your camera angles and all that different stuff. That was a thought that came from me, but even then it's just like, well, even if you did green screen it, your camera angles are just really weird that you chose.
No, I like the camera angles.
Really?
Those Dutch tilts, I thought those were cool. They're just something different, but I like them. So let's move on.
Let's hit
There's-
Bushmaster.
Yeah, Bushmaster. So everything that comes with Bushmaster is the accent, and that a lot of people bump up against the accent for mostly every Jamaican person in the
Right.
show, which is fair. I don't think I'm not gonna like sit here and be like, no, it was pretty good. It was bad, but like, it didn't stop me from enjoying like how he moved on screen, like what his motives were.
Yes.
The story was
He had
like,
great screen presence too.
Yes.
Like every time he
Like,
was on
that guy's a
screen, you're
great
like,
actor.
oh my god, I'm
Yeah.
all about you right now. This is awesome.
yeah, and like when people were like, "Why do you not like Luke Cage?" Like, I don't know, it's just because he's around. I don't like him. I just don't like that he exists. Fuck that guy. And I was like, good enough for me, because like,
Sure.
as I said, the show was about the Stokes versus
Yes.
the McIvers.
Yes.
It wasn't about. I mean, much like the first season, it's always something bigger at stake here, and like it's always Harlem is at stake, and this time it's because this evil is trying to fight this evil, and Luke Cage has to figure out where he fits in that. And this season decided Luke Cage is gonna try and be one of those evils now, and try and restore some. But like Bushmaster in particular, what I liked was, again, like Killmonger, he came in and he was like, when he was talking to Mariah, he's like, it looks like you, they call them Yankees, but like, he's like,
The Yardies?
yeah, the Yardies called the American black people, Yankees. But like when they were just like, yeah, you Yankees, like you're constantly looking for another master to serve. Like that's why, like, I mean, they were like, yeah, like you. And my mom always talks about this. The people that were in the, I don't remember the name. People are gonna be mad at me if I say the wrong thing. But just look it up. There were these revolutionary people in Jamaica that actually fought off the slave masters, and went into the mountains they talk about here, and lived on their own, and actually were able to effectively free themselves from slavery and live on their own. And so that he has that confidence going into this, being like, yeah, you guys are idiots because no matter what you do, you're going to just try and serve another master. I actually
serve myself.
I serve myself. I'm free. I'm not like you guys. And just like, again, like that element where like black people aren't treated as a monolithic group of people. There are different takes, and there's different kinds of people within the term black people.
And I really appreciated the fact that they did that, because that was something that my ex like really talked a lot about, and I get what she was saying, and I guess a lot of it wasn't that I was opposing her, I was just listening, and I thought it was fascinating, and I just kind of kept asking questions to hear it more on. But the idea of black being an all-inclusive thing is so degrading.
Well, and Netflix put out that thing actually where they said there's no one way to be black, and it's like, and like I loved that video. It's unfortunate that I don't remember who he is, but there was an exec there that had to leave because he kept using the N-word.
Oh no!
And I was just like,
damn it. But yeah, no, it was just amazing, because you obviously have the Caribbean people with their own cultures, and like even then the different countries within the Caribbean. And then you have the Africans, and like it's all over. There's like, and then you have the Parisian black people, and all this different stuff. It's just like to say black to be like to mean like if you're only black if you act like commit, or, exactly.
I mean cockroach or someone like that, like that, like if you just watch American television, you'd think, oh yeah, like cockroach is a black person. He's living, kind of in squalor and beating his kid and his wife, and like, that's trying to make ends meet.
I think that was something that was so smart and so brilliant about this season, is that they are showing that diversity within the black community and what that is. I think it was so brilliant and so smart, and I think it's something that's so easily misunderstood or goes over the head of so many people, but I caught it. I was like, oh my god, this is amazing right there.
And I like that perfect. When like what you like about Spawn is that every time he uses that like nightshade, it's killing him, and also that he has to move the way he does, which is very well, because like he can take the bullets, but like that actually is, he's feeling it, and it is damaging him. So he would rather not have to get shot. I just thought that was a really well set up thing, and it forced. I mean, they didn't get to where I thought they would get, which is Luke Cage being taught how to actually fight by Iron Fist. But like, it made it so that like every time he showed up against Bushmaster, it was like, you're gonna get your ass kicked, man. And like even for the last couple of episodes, he has to tell people, no, I actually beat him once, and they're like, you get beat up by Bushmaster a lot, and like he loses the Nike deal and stuff because they're like. Yeah, you got beat up by Bushmaster on TV, so no thank you.
The funny thing about Bushmaster was, and I must have missed this because I've just been so busy, haven't been able to depack this as much as I wanted to. But what were his powers? The issue is that there's
something in him. That it doesn't enhance, it just reveals.
Yeah, it doesn't enhance, it reveals. And they said that like multiple times through the season. I get that. A lot of people were like, "Oh yeah, he just got the nightshade." And I'm like, "No, it isn't." But there was some
the
dialogue.
nightshade obviously does do something. It's just he's able to deal with it, because didn't they say like he also survived when they injected him? So he's got something in him that makes him resilient.
So here's the thing, I was reading this one article because I was so confused by this early in the season, and I'm like, okay, should I wait or should I just try to understand this now? And I just gave in like under my duress of insomnia. I just looked at it and read, and someone were saying, well, there might be a historical reference in that immunization kind of thing where historically there was a lot of practice of like scientists using immunizations to actually try out different kind of
black
medical
people, like the
practices.
Tuskegee,
On
test.
black people. And one of that, some of the that could have alluded to, are they trying the super soldier serum or something like that? And a whole
but I
bunch
think
of them
even in that
died.
they were saying
Yeah.
everyone died but him.
Exactly, but was he able to tolerate it? But it actually didn't. It wasn't the right formulation of the super soldier serum, because that
They could be trying to do that.
because the thing is, the super soldier serum from Captain America is attempted to be replicated throughout
Mm-hmm.
the entire Marvel Cinematic Universe, and obviously that's what gives Red Skull his powers and all that kind of stuff. So I don't think it would be too far fetched to think
Mm-hmm. Or
that.
Abomination.
Or Abomination, but it doesn't ever get fully addressed. And to you, is that a better thing or a worse thing? Because I like mystery behind powers, but I think in this situation there's too much mystery behind it, and
Yeah, I
it's
don't
too
care.
easily put on the nightshade kind of thing.
Yeah, I don't care.
You don't care, right?
Yeah.
No.
But I mean, that doesn't mean that it shouldn't be explored. It just means I don't care.
Sure.
I'm just like,
Cool.
nah, I get it. Like, it's killing him, and that's why he goes out the way he does in this season, where he's kind of just like, yeah, I'm going back to Jamaica. Like, this has been too much.
And like you revealed that to me like before we started recording and everything like that. And I thought that was fantastic, because ultimately I saw Bushmaster and Luke Cage ultimately being the same people.
I loved when they fought together, by the way.
Oh,
when
that
he
was an
went to
amazing
the
thing.
Chinese gangsters,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
then
yeah.
he's like, Bushmaster, and he's like, hey, just stay behind me, and then he has to and they basically recreate the old boy
Yep.
like hammer fight scene type thing.
Yep.
Well, visually, not, I mean,
Yeah, not definitely.
completely
Yep.
beat by beat.
But that was a fantastic moment where they teamed up and worked together.
And I was like,
realized
are they going to work together? And then he was just like, yeah, thank you for getting me through this. Here's a
Yeah.
bomb. Get out of my way. I'm still doing what I
Yeah.
want to do. And I
So
was like, oh, good.
It
That
was
was
yeah, it was interesting to me, because I saw basically them becoming the same character at some point in time, and then they just made very different decisions. Versus because the whole thing was anger throughout this whole thing.
Yeah,
How Luke Cage
you're
held
right.
onto his anger.
And that Bushmaster basically gives up on
he
the
let
anger.
go of his anger.
Luke
He's
Cage
like, I'm
does
done
not
with this
really.
feud. And then Luke Cage is like, I'm still going to use this anger and everything like that. And you're right. I was expecting from that Danny Rand episode that he would be like, lean more into it, especially like after that tag team fight that they had in the Nightshade facility. Danny Rand was like making those points. It's like, there was something different about you tonight. Everything was balanced, everything was aligned, your chi was centered, and he's like, don't give me that bullshit and all that kind of stuff. I thought that would be actually more about, but here's the irony thing is like, is Luke Cage, is that bulletproof thing also being reflected in his stubbornness
Yes,
to change?
it is.
I think that is a great little writing nod that they had.
So yeah, I liked Bushmaster. It was a
loved him.
weird bit
Yeah.
the way he goes out. Yeah, just kind of fizzles out as it.
Well,
he
it's
says on this.
anticlimactic, but I mean, for him to,
It is, but I mean, yeah, there's not much. It makes sense though, because like
Yeah.
he did that thing where he blows up when he's in the paddy wagon, and that takes him out for
Yeah.
a bunch. And it's basically the amount of nightshade you're going to be using now is really going to take a toll on you. And I think that's part of the character arc of like, you know what, like
Yeah.
this isn't worth killing myself over.
yes.
I think I've made my point.
And that one scene where he just injects it and does the whole thing
Yeah.
all at once. He's like, don't do the whole thing. You know he's going to do the whole thing. And he
Yeah.
just like goes ham.
But yeah, all that was good. Sorry we're not doing more detailed stuff, but like just kind of get general themes out there, because we haven't even talked about Luke Cage's dad, and we are pretty far into this, so we should
Yeah.
move on.
Yeah.
Luke Cage's dad was in it, played by an actor who's dead, so I don't know if how they're ever going to be able to get back to that. Reggie Cathy, who I love,
Yeah.
he was in The Wire, he was in the ill-fated Fantastic Four remake. Just an amazing actor, and it was good. At first
Yeah.
I didn't really like him, but then I was like, you know what, I appreciate what's going on here.
Yeah.
That this is the source of his anger.
Yep.
Or at least what is keeping him where he is. And that they come to some sort of terms by the end of it is nice. I don't really have much else to say because I didn't really remember it, and also kept thinking, I hope they don't kill him in this because he's already dead, and I don't want to watch him die on screen.
Yeah, that would be tough to watch.
So yeah, is that everyone? And then
I think
did we talk about Mariah?
We
I think
we did not, I don't think.
I loved her this season. I've always
She was
loved
fantastic
her.
this season.
I like. So we haven't said this on thing, but her last thing from Beyond the Grave is that she gave Luke Cage Harlem Paradise.
Yep.
and she knows that that's going to really pick apart at this facade he has where he's the good guy, because it will just entrench him in the slums and doing shady dealings and keep him there.
It's
it
interesting
will undo him.
It's interesting because like she's, especially her past as a politician, being like a lot of people going like, oh, politics is easy, but then the moment you arrive in it, the moment you have to make decisions, it's a very different gig altogether, because you're like, okay, well, I got to do this. It's going to piss off my fan base here, but this is the right thing to do, and all that kind of stuff. And that's, I would only imagine that would slowly chip away at you as that political leader. For her to know that, not only as you're going to have to do this in Harlem, where it's all riddled by crime, and you're going to keep this away and keep those families happy, you're going to have to deal with crime stuff now too, and that's going to chip away at you, and you're going to devolve. So that's just phenomenal to me, that last little like middle finger that she gives to Luke. And for season 3, I mean, where are you hoping this goes to?
I don't know, because I was really hoping they would keep leaning into the hero for hire thing, like in terms of like bad guys hiring him to do things where he has to stop other bad guys from doing, which I guess they could still do, but he's in such a position of power now that it wouldn't really make sense.
It wouldn't make sense at all
that they would hire him to do that stuff. I will say, because we're gonna have to rate this very soon. I did not like that they recreated the Godfather scene at the end. I was like, all right, that's a little too on the nose. But I'm sure there's directors and writers out there that would love to do their take on that. So whatever. But yeah, it's put him in a position where, as I said, it's finished that storyline of this is probably why he was on the bench during the first season so much, because like once you actually put him on the spot, he's not like Misty. He doesn't actually have what's best at heart. He's kind of like making all these concessions and pretty much going to end up like one of these crime bosses. So it'll be the fight for keeping him from going all the way over.
Yeah, and that's what's interesting about his character and his power too. Is just like, you can do whatever you want. I don't really need to try hard to win this fight for the majority of the fights that he fights. Versus now he's fighting a moral one, and he doesn't realize it yet, and it's going to be interesting. Anyways, let's rate this thing. What do you got?
I'm gonna give it a 9.
I'm giving it 7, and that's not fair because I haven't finished watching it. So I might re-rate it in the next episode.
Follow him on Twitter, see if he re-rates it.
That's right.
I thought that they improved on last season. The pacing is always a problem.
Yep.
Yes, it is not without fault, but my main logic is I like the characters and they made the characters better.
Yeah.
So
to me, like, having had this recording with you makes me bump it up a lot more from what it used to be. For me, I was like 4 because they never pulled me in. But now, having talked about all these themes and the brilliance of the writing and the characters and what they did with the characters much more that I didn't get to fully understand because I just didn't get to spend that much time with the content. Definitely got to give it the recognition it deserves, especially with all the social injustice things that they're talking about and bringing to the surface about, like, black culture is not what you see in Compton. Right. It's more than that. It's so refreshing to see.
All right, that is what we rated Luke Cage.
Yep.
And shit,
with an asterisk on mine.
9 and 7.
Yeah.
With an asterisk.
Do we have enough time for Jurassic World?
Let's do a quick, maybe like 20 minutes or so.
Yeah,
on Jurassic World.
I agree. I feel like there's not a lot to talk about in Jurassic World, anyways. Now it was, to me, overall disappointing from a writing perspective.
Yeah,
from a writing perspective, it was very, very disappointing. But, you know, it's one of those movies where you just got to shut off your brain and accept that it's going to be dumb, and then you'll have fun. Because halfway through it, I'm just like, oh, this is very predictable. It's very easy. Of course, who's going to be like, yeah, we care so much about dinosaurs that we're going to actually relocate these people and all that kind of stuff. A lot of these throwbacks, they just, the oh wow moments that the original Jurassic Park had, the original trilogies and all that, it just kind of got lost. there were some oh wow moments to me, like the reveal of the Indoraptor was one of the coolest things. And the fact that in that third act, once they started entering that mansion, it started being a lot more horror based, and I'm like, this is so cool. There was a lot of gothic horror throwback elements in that, and I was like, really, really love that. And I know a lot of people didn't.
Yep.
Yeah.
Here's what I liked. Every time that a flash of light would reveal like a flash of a dinosaur, that was cool. That's good directing.
I feel like that's low hanging fruit, man.
No, that's visually very interesting.
Visually it's fantastic, absolutely. But I'm not.
I didn't like much else.
Yeah,
I found myself very bored with this movie.
Yep, it was very boring.
People really like that first half when they're like getting stuff off the island, but I don't care. Like people were like, "Oh, the gyroscope thing in the water." I was like, "Nah."
To me, it was the issue of
it's the beginning of the movie, so I don't think anyone's in trouble. And I normally don't care about that, but because this movie didn't ever engage me, that I was never like, "Oh, but this is still interesting to see how they get out of this." I'm like, "Well, I just know that we still have to get to that mansion, and now we're just wasting time with this."
That's
like,
exactly
just
it.
Get out
like,
and let's go.
I'm like, "Oh, so we're really just throwing ourselves into this in the first act?" Okay, well, I guess. First/second act. That okay, cool, whatever. It's just like, are you? And to me, one of the biggest issues about this, and one of the biggest common criticisms about this was the marketing campaign. Did they reveal too much?
No, because
I feel like they did, man. I
people
feel
were like, oh, like the Colin Trevor was like, they revealed the thing at the end with the people surfing and
that one shot at the end.
But like,
sure,
whatever.
Like, I don't care about
that. Didn't lead to anything. That's not really ruining anything because nothing happened. Just like nothing happened in the trailer. So I was like, okay.
To me, the thing that ruined everything was when they decided to use one of the trailers where Claire, who was played by Bryce Dallas Howard. On the beach, she goes like, they lied to us, and I'm like, well, now we know there's going to be a turn. We know that the people that are going to save these animals are gonna turn and be like, nope, we're going to do our own thing. That was what ruined it for me. It wasn't that one shot with the wave and all that kind of stuff. That to me, I couldn't have cared about at all. I'd be like, oh, okay, cool, whatever.
Yeah,
because you know they have to get off the island.
The movie's not good though, so it didn't really matter. Like I wasn't like, oh, like I would have thought it was so interesting. Like I thought that was a terrible take they put into the actual movie of her being like, they lied to her. Like it was like, she's a better actress than that. Give her like, she must have a better take than that.
Yeah,
it just all was like nothing about that would have like, oh, cool in the movie because like the way the guy is acting, you already think he's a weirdo doing something bad, like before they get to the point of, oh, they lied. So I was never like, oh, like maybe they are doing the right thing. Yeah. I was just like, oh, okay. I'm just like, and just by showing anything from the mansion makes you believe like, well, something's gonna happen. Like, I don't know. I just didn't care about the movie. Is more what it was. I never at no point was I like, oh, this is interesting. Other than those flashes, I thought that. Also, one thing that stood out to me. So James Cromwell. I know everyone's like, yeah, I never knew about him before. I just assumed like, oh, it must be from Jurassic Park 3 because I didn't watch Jurassic Park 3. Maybe they introduced him there.
No,
and I was like, oh, but I didn't care about that. I cared that when he like figured everything out, he's like, you call the cops. I was like, why would you let the person who is trying to do you like, I didn't think he was gonna kill him, but I also was just like, why would this guy who's clearly alive no, I'm saying if you were actually that old man, you wouldn't assume he's gonna kill you, but I just wouldn't I wouldn't be like, you do it, you liar that has been lying to me for however long. You tell the cops. I would just be like, you're just gonna screw like, you're just gonna screw you over. Why would this? Just call the cops. And like, that was a weird choice. The whole that girl is a clone was a weird thing because I was like, oh, cool. Like they keep hiding who her mom is. Hopefully it's someone from the other movies. Payoff. And I was like, oh, she's just a clone.
That was my thing. I was just like, there was no payoff with that whatsoever. It's like, oh. That's the okay. Sure.
And then she's like,
your daughter.
I want dinosaurs to live because I'm a clone and they're clone. I'm like, and someone who was reviewing it on Screen Junkies was just like, why would you write that? Why wouldn't you just put she's a girl who likes dinosaurs? Like everyone would believe that little girl would make a terrible decision and be like, boom, save the dinosaurs.
Or
Like, I
just
would
basically, I want to push a big red button. Like, to me, that would have been okay. Sure, that would have made more sense. It's
And
like,
she also screamed way too much.
oh, I don't care about the screaming. That was
It is
fine.
annoying. I'm just like, come on. Like, especially when she like loses the Indoraptor, but then screams again. I'm like, oh well, now he knows where you are. What are you doing? Like, stop screaming.
I mean,
I get it. It's supposed
at that
to be
point,
like a
I've
horror film.
suspended all thought at all. I'm just like, I'm gonna see dinosaurs, and that's it. That's all I care about at that point. Because I was just like, oh, really? This is really how there's no twist to this. The payoff for the clone thing sucked, and the whole like. I really was the whole time. I was like, okay, this is gonna pull me back once there's a connection to an original member, and I'm like, wait a minute, how could they possibly do that in Jurassic Park 1? Sattler and what's his face? Alan Grant. You can't have it be Sattler because it was just brand new to Hammond and all that kind of stuff. Hammond didn't have. You couldn't make it the granddaughters of Grant. The
grandkids?
Yeah, the grandkids. You couldn't do that.
I thought it was going to be like just the granddaughters. It's the granddaughter's kid or something.
That's what I thought it was going to be. But it's like, but then the reveal was just like it fell so flat because it was like, oh, you cloned a human. Why is that impressive? You cloned dinosaurs. That was way more impressive than cloning a human ever would be.
Yeah, I know, but that
realm.
It's just another thing for them to debate, I guess.
It's a MacGuffin to me.
I didn't like that. I keep forgetting what I'm. Oh yeah, the Latino or Latinx.
The science person.
Well, both of them are like Justice Smith and Daniela Pineda or something. They weren't good either. They were
terrible.
I thought he screamed all the time, and I was like, ugh. And then like
I get why he would scream. You're an IT developer. You're good at IT
why
stuff.
Did you go
why are
at
you
all?
on field?
No, but why did he go? Because that was his option. That was his choice.
Yeah.
So I was just like, what are you doing? And then
to me,
someone brought up a good point, like where they were like, what? So she is a dinosaur vet.
She's a paleontologist.
No, but she added something to her title, making it seem like she specializes in veterinary care for dinosaurs. And it's like, but you never met one.
Yeah.
So like, what is this based on?
That was my thing.
But that's the thing. It's in a world where everyone is already used to being able to just go to. Like, she could have possibly had a job just being a vet at Jurassic World.
That was my favorite thing.
It made no sense that she'd never met one before. Because even if she didn't have a job, she could have just gone to the park to meet one.
Yes. That was the biggest thing to me. I was just like, this is the dumbest shit in the world. Why are you even relevant to any of this? How do you, know about any of this dinosaur stuff? It's like, okay, wait, hold on. In theory, you're a paleontologist and blah, or whatever, like title you gave yourself, but you never had hands-on experience. So how did you know that in order to save Blue, who got a gunshot wound, you needed blood from a carnivore, not from anything else? And what, like,
I'm sure there's some. I mean, that stuff you can read in a textbook. That part I wasn't that worried about. That stuff that like everything is just theoretical until you do it.
Here's the thing. No, and I'll tell you why. You couldn't have done it because Jurassic Park was a private entity.
Yeah.
And why would a private entity? You're like, here's more of our secrets. Here's our
what I'm
intellectual
saying is,
property.
To the extent that people know that like chickens are descendants from dinosaurs, there must be some kind of studies you can do where you can be like, I think, like, and anyway, like in movies when people are like, we need a blood transfusion or something, like, what, like, you aren't like, and he's type A and we need that type, like, you're just like, let's just get this transfusion. So the fact that she was adding that extra thing was more the director trying to hint that like she kind of knows what she's doing, and I can buy that she read something that makes her think she knows what she's doing. Doesn't mean she knows what she's doing. I buy that character would think she knows what she's doing.
I would have bought that the character had that confidence to be like, you can't kill me because Blue, like, it's the Blue dies and you need Blue, to be like, I'm gonna slime my way to keep alive kind of deal. But then they actually pulled through with that. To me, it was just like, wouldn't it make more sense if Claire knew that information and interacted with her and kind of, because Claire ran the park, she would have known some more information about the dinosaurs and all that kind of stuff. But even then, from an administrative level,
because that's not her job.
It wouldn't.
Her job is being with sponsors and like getting money for the park and keeping it running that way.
And it would have made more sense.
I think the point of Jurassic World is that she learns to actually care about the dinosaurs, but I don't think that when she had that job she was deeply invested in.
No,
the-
she wasn't. She was
so
just
that-
like, how do
that's
I
what I'm
drive
saying.
up revenue?
Her saying all that gobbledygook about like, I need a car is like, I buy that character read something that makes her think that's what you should do.
So
it doesn't really matter.
what I thought would have
because
been better.
the end result is you can't use blue now because I tainted her blood with T-Rex blood.
Yeah.
That is what they needed to get to. Is they maybe worked backwards from that, but all of that is fine. Like, I'm not like, oh, there's some kind of plot hole here. It's just
The funny thing to me is like, that's such a dumb thing that you can't use blue's blood because you did a blood transfusion. You wait until the red blood cells die.
yeah, but they were trying to do it right now. So,
fair enough. But,
yeah,
I
they
mean,
were
you
like-
save blue. You save blue. All you really need to do is just like, okay, hang on, wait, we'll get the blood.
No, but like you don't want them to use blue's blood. But she's the good guy.
Don't they have blue's blood already?
No,
Because
obviously
they
not.
created the Indoraptor.
Yeah, but they made an Indoraptor that doesn't respond to humans well, so that's what they needed blue for, because blue actually responds, and that was the point of showing the clone girl watching Owen interacting with the baby raptors, and that they don't actually listen, even though they're all the same, like it's the same family. Blue specifically actually pays attention, so they want blue specifically things. So once you add that thing, that throws all of that off.
Okay. Yeah, like I said, I just suspended all thought from that point on. I was just like,
Yeah,
I'm gonna see dinosaurs
I'm not
on
saying
screen.
it's a good movie. I'm just saying all of that makes sense to me. Like, I get what's going on. I didn't like that I didn't like that she was like a stand-in to be like, we heard your complaints about the last movie, so when she's like, don't tell me what to do, I'm an independent woman, I'm like, oh god.
Yeah.
And then like
it's an overcorrection. These
or
characters
when
are overcorrections.
the one guy calls her a nasty woman, I'm like, oh yeah, I get it. Trump, great. Like, just make a movie. Don't I don't want this bullshit like meta commentary. It's not Deadpool. Or like if it is, lean into it and don't have like these weird random moments.
Yeah, these were definitely like overcorrections for sure. Yeah, this movie fell flat for me. It was just like I said, and you just see, for me, dinosaurs on screen. That was it. Cool.
I realized when I was watching it, I just kept thinking about your love for dinosaurs, and I'm like, I wish I had that, because this is doing nothing for me.
No, that's why. And that's why I got to talk about that, is because that bias of me loving dinosaurs is going to factor into this, because you're going to be like, wow, really?
No, I was hoping you liked it.
I liked it for the dinosaurs and the dinosaurs alone. I like the comedic parts, where especially that one line that was revealed in trailer, where Chris Pratt's like, remember, if I die, you're the reason why I was like, you brought me back here, kind of thing. Like, that to me was like, that was great. I already heard that joke. It wasn't like a Deadpool thing where it's like, oh, we're going to use that joke in the trailer and then we're going to use a different take in the movie, kind of deal. So you got to keep you on your toes.
Yeah,
but
it wasn't great. I didn't really like anyone in this movie.
I like Ian Malcolm. Because I love Jeff Goldblum.
I like him, but I didn't like it. Was a nothing role because no one listened to him. Because his whole point of the thing was like, yeah, let them die, and then
it's not that no one listened to him. Everyone.
What I'm saying is those characters didn't hear his testimony, meaning it was just for us, and then like
and that was the stupidest thing. The whole save the dinosaurs and everything like that. Okay, if Plan A would have gone to fruition, like what the old guy did, to actually pitch, oh yeah, we have this land on Isla Nublar 3 or something like that,
right,
where we can do this sanctuary, we have this space, they could be locked up and they would be able to survive and do whatever. Cool. But you're at the point now, and I guess the kid's to blame for this, not Claire, because Claire's like, she made
the choice not to do it.
She holds back from doing that. And then the clone kid hits the button, and you're just like, are you serious right now, kid?
Again, I don't like that happened, but also how else are you going to make more movies? But like,
absolutely
the kid.
Correct.
I buy that a kid in that situation would be like, well, I don't want to watch a bunch of dinosaurs die.
But at the same time, you just spent the whole thing running
were they
around,
trying to kill them,
getting away from
dinosaurs. But that one was dead. None of those ones were trying to kill her.
Whatever.
Again, there's a logic to it. It's not just happening like willy nilly. I just think it's bad.
I don't think it's good. I agree with you. I don't think it's good. Yeah, there's a bit of an issue here with this movie. They wrote themselves in a corner because the way I saw this, I was just like, okay, good. Now you have dinosaurs in the population, whether or not they are still female or not, whether or not they can reproduce. I mean, we know that they can reproduce because the amphibian one from Jurassic Park 2. You're in a situation now where you're going towards the Planet of the Apes franchise.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be.
People are really excited about that. I don't care.
Why would they be excited about that? You can't
Because
possibly
people
tell
like
me.
watching like a raptor ride in on a T-Rex, but like humans would just die.
But no, to me, it's a stupid thing because it wouldn't be dinosaurs versus humans. Humans would obviously win in that scenario.
Because they'll find a way to just kill them with a disease.
No, because dinosaurs would be competing against each other too during that time. So you'd have infighting with the dinosaurs, and then you'd have humans that have a coordinated attack to be like, no, our species is alive. We have the power of communication. We're going to go pew, 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 but from the Space Force. I had to throw that in to just be like, yeah, no, you know what? This is dumb. You painted Jurassic World 3 into a corner. There's no way that this could be good.
The first movie painted all the rest of the movies in the corner by like concluding the story and being like, yeah, this was a bad idea. And then just every movie since has been like, it was, but like, wouldn't it be crazy if we did it again?
Yeah. And like the issue with the first trilogy was like, oh, you guys are really creative with finding ways to get back to that island. And then this one's just like, oh, we're just gonna create the island and put more money into it.
Oh no, yeah, no. The second and third movie happen on a different island.
Yes, they do, but they still go back to that island.
I didn't see the third one, so I don't know.
The third movie is terrible. It's awful.
Doesn't like a raptor talk or something?
Yeah, they communicate in their own like.
No, but like, isn't like the post credit that like Alan Grant wakes up on the plane and is like, "Hey, Alan, like, how's it going?" or something. I feel like I've seen that scene on YouTube.
No, I don't know. I didn't even know there was a post credit scene.
Yeah, I think you can look it up because there's a post credit scene in this movie too.
I don't think that's a thing.
The non-pterodactyl. Yeah, it is. You could just YouTube it. Like, it is a scene
Wow.
where he wakes up to a raptor legitimately speaking in English to him.
What?
I think it says like hello. Al. Yeah. You can just
Why did they not continue that there then? That's
Who cares?
dumb. That must have been a dream
dumb.
sequence.
I don't like this franchise. It's basically what I'm learning.
I love this franchise from the. But to be perfectly honest, though, this franchise is like riddled with issues from the beginning.
I like the first movie. I think it's legitimately
the first movie
good.
is great, but the moment you start picking apart the plot holes, you're like, oh, yeah, that doesn't make sense at
Yeah.
all.
No, I mean,
Dr.
Sure.
Hammond being like, I spared no expense, only hires one IT guy. Cool. Your IT guy steals 16 dinosaurs off the island. There's only 12 cartridges in there.
Yeah.
The inaccuracies of like, oh, there's this one scene now where the Jeep is pulling into the thing, but then the next scene you see the Jeep's already parked in a different direction. Like, there's
but
so
that's
many
stuff
different
that doesn't
things.
actually affect the storyline. Like,
No,
the
it doesn't. You're
events
absolutely
wouldn't
right.
happen differently because of that. Like, maybe the IT thing, but I think that speaks more to the time that movie was made, where like people didn't acknowledge IT departments. Doesn't mean they weren't there. I'm saying that wasn't like in the zeitgeist that people know about that. Okay, so having that represented by one person makes sense. The 16 to 12, what's the difference in 4 dinosaurs? Even if you were like, oh, he can only carry 12. Same thing.
No,
like
that's
none
what I
of
mean.
that.
Like,
Like, that's what I'm
there's
saying.
always
Nothing
been
about it is
issues.
like, hey, if if they did it the right way, this would have completely changed things and nothing would have ever happened.
But
It's like it's just things that you can pick out because he's making 2 movies at the same time and probably missed some details.
They missed a lot, though, because there's stuff like, oh, the T-Rex is on ground level. The T-Rex cage in the beginning is on ground level, and all of a sudden you have the car go over the edge and it falls off a cliff. You're like, what the hell's that all about?
Yeah.
There's certain things that like just do not make sense, and that's why Jurassic Park 1 is still one of my favorite movies of all time, because it has that nostalgic kid factor to me, but also like the moment you think of it as an adult, you're like, that doesn't make any sense. That's stupid.
Yeah.
That is such a dummy thing to do. But it's a lot of fun to watch.
But I also think you care about the characters more. Like, people, like, if you didn't, no one would care that like Ian Malcolm is in this movie, or like they wouldn't be able to use that as a selling point beforehand. And like, they've even with Chris Pratt at his height of being Chris Pratt, he's not a factor in terms of people wanting to see these movies.
Yeah, no, it's
you
not.
have to lead with. Oh, but Jeff Goldblum is in it,
Yep.
and if they had Laura Dern in it, if they had like I don't remember Alan Grant, whoever plays him, Sam Neill. Is that his name?
I want to say yes, but
I'm
he's
gonna look
already
it up.
has his reprisal in Jurassic World 3, and that's the thing too. As much as I love Jeff Goldblum, I am so glad they kept his role to just consulting the U.S. Senate before at the beginning and the end.
It is Sam Neill. Yeah, I think those three characters like have stayed with me in a way that maybe I don't know. I'm not a 9-year-old now. Maybe 9-year-olds now will love Owen and Claire, but
I still am a 9-year-old. No,
but like I feel like there was just, and it wasn't like I don't even know how old they were. They seemed like old people to me even then. Like I felt like they were like 40.
Owen and Claire?
No,
Or
I'm talking about like
the original?
specifically Alan Grant and
Oh yeah, they were
like,
probably in
they
their 40s, 50s.
Yeah,
Yep.
I mean they probably weren't because it was so long ago.
Well, I
But,
mean,
like,
Ian Malcolm probably was in his 30s.
Yeah,
or something
but
like
what
that.
I'm saying
He
is
was a
like
rock
they
star.
they weren't like I didn't care really about the kids, even though I think the kids are better than any kid that showed up in these. New
in
ones.
the original?
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying.
definitely.
Everyone is better, but like I cared about those adult characters in a way
Yes.
that I don't know how people can care about any of these other adult characters.
I don't get it either. I'm just like, what? Why? This is stupid. I don't care about Claire. And I'm like, good, you corrected her wardrobe thing from the first one. Who cares? No
Yeah, I
one
don't care.
cares.
And then that
It was
I didn't
dumb.
even notice that till people talked about it after the movie.
In
heel
Jurassic
thing.
World, the first
Well, I know
one.
they called attention to it, but I also was like, I don't care. Like it's like
I'm
every
just-
movie. Who cares?
Yeah, I'm just like, well, what else would she run in? That was the thing she was wearing.
Yeah.
Like, what, do you expect her to go to a wardrobe change? To me, there's a better complaint about the X-Men for the Apocalypse movie. Of like, oh, they all have uniforms that fit. That's weird. I felt like that was a better argument than like the Bryce Dallas Howard thing. It was like, why is she running in heels? I'm like, shut up. Just because she was wearing heels to begin with.
I think more people think she would trip, not like
Yeah,
I don't
fair,
think people
whatever.
were like aesthetically it doesn't look. I think people were more like she would trip, especially if she had to run at that pace.
Yes.
Yeah. So it was. Yeah, it wasn't about that.
Yeah.
Um,
I don't know. To me, the Jurassic Park, Jurassic World franchise, you really have to suspend a lot of brain activity in order
I
to
think
really
what
love
this movie proved is I'm not willing to do it. I don't care for these movies.
I'm still really enjoying these movies, but from like I'm gonna watch this as a dumb monster movie kind of thing.
Yeah.
That's it. That's how I
fair.
liked it.
All right, what would you rate?
I'm giving this a strong 5.
I gave it a 4. It's not that crazy.
At the beginning, I was like, do I give it a 6? Do I like that was the debate in my head, and I'm like, no, you know what? Honestly, this movie, it's a fun movie to watch when you turn off your brain.
I can't imagine watching it at home. Like I feel like I would just be on my
I
phone
would
the whole time.
totally love watching this at home.
Yeah, you also love dinosaurs, whereas
I
I
love dinosaurs.
have very little
Yeah,
care for it.
because that was my thing. It's like I love the dinosaurs. I'm gonna give it a 6. The Indoraptor is cool. They could
I
have
don't
used it
think that was
differently.
cool either.
I thought it was cool.
Wait, like the whole you point a laser at what you want it to do, and then
And
it
it
sets a
just
sound, and then it
kills
does it.
it.
I'm like, why? And again, someone else
yeah.
made the point: what if you already have a gun on someone? Why don't you just shoot them? Especially if it has the laser pointer.
See, that's the thing. I
That
didn't even
will
think
always be easier
It's so
than pointing a raptor at it. I mean,
realistically, if I'm being objective about this, I would have given it a 3. But I'm giving it a 5 because those dinosaurs.
so hold on, we gotta make sure we have this right. You went from a 5 to a 6 to a 3 back to a 5.
Oh yeah, I'm very indecisive today.
We gotta lock this in. I
Yep.
am sticking with 4. What are you giving it?
To lock in,
Yeah.
I'm still saying 5.
All right.
I'm still saying 5 because I just enjoyed myself.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, I have to enjoy myself for this.
I don't think it's wrong for you to rate it
No.
higher. Even I'm just saying
That's
I
like
just
telling me
want to
my
lock
opinion
it.
is wrong. It's
Yeah,
ridiculous.
I just want you to lock it in. I'm saying if you have fun, what else are you going to get out of that movie? That movie wasn't trying to like do anything else other than entertain people. So
Yeah, it's not like, oh, this is a reflection of society. It can't be that. It's dinosaurs.
no, it just I don't even know how I got to 4. I just feel bad giving things less than a 4.
What? No, that's
Things have to
okay.
be-
So you lock down a real like if you
No,
were
I'm
to vote
saying
this-
I'm sticking with 4. I'm
You're
just
sticking with
saying
4.
like it's not like I don't know if someone pressed me, I might give it No, I probably would stick with 4. It's not great. It's not good.
It's not a good movie.
I think lower than 4 would have to imply that I cared enough to be angry about it. Whereas I just
a 4
didn't
is a
like
very
it.
indifferent.
Yeah, I
kinda
just
thing.
didn't like it. It's
'Cause
not good.
At 4, you're like, I guess I appreciated the amount of money they put into the CGI and the camera.
Yeah,
that
effort
they
was
chose,
put
and,
in.
like at that point, you're like,
You have to
"Oh,
acknowledge the effort that was
Yeah.
put in. I just didn't think it was good.
Yep.
It was it was Red Letter Media that said a lot of effort put in service of something that didn't deserve it.
Yep.
So that is a good way of putting this movie.
You
It
mean
was,
Jurassic Park 3? That's basically it.
was a lot of effort put into that? I never seen it.
There
I
was
can't
a lot
speak.
of effort put into
I
that
can't
movie.
speak on Jurassic Park 3.
That was. I think you should watch it. Just because
I don't think I will. This movie
No.
has put me off of watching any of these.
But you know what the funny thing is? Yeah, I forget that you don't like wasting your time with shit. That,
Yeah, I'm never
Yeah.
like, oh, this was fun that I didn't like this. I have
See,
to
I
just
love doing
legitimately
that,
like.
though. I love watching Jurassic Park 3 because I'm like, this is so bad that it's good.
No,
I love
not
that
for
shit.
me. All right,
Times.
everybody, thank you for listening.
Thank you for
This
listening.
is-
On the next episode, which is coming pretty much next week.
Yeah, we're doing
going back to back.
We're doing back to back.
We're
Ant-Man
throwing
and
up
the
your
Wasp.
schedules. Ant-Man and the Wasp.
This has been Spoiled Rotten. We're on the dorkshelf.com network. I don't know why I put .com in there, but you get the idea.
Yep.
There's other great podcasts there. There's other you probably could read a review to this.
Mhm.
But what is on Dorkshelf right now, which is really cool because I liked the movie, is they actually have an interview with Brad Bird that you can listen
cool.
to about Incredibles 2 and the writer-director, I should have looked it up, of Bow, the short film that comes on before Incredibles 2.
Oh, the documentary about
No, it's not a
Little Bow
documentary.
Wow.
No.
No, just
That one, that's
short
not
film,
on,
right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
the short film.
that's like making everyone go wild right now. It's awesome. I can't wait to watch Incredibles 2.
It's good.
Yeah.
Or maybe you won't like it. I don't know.
I don't know,
I liked
man.
it.
I'm just waiting for. Oh man, I think I waited too long. The kids are out for summer, aren't they?
Yep.
Damn it.
Starting yesterday, they are all out, baby.
I shot myself in the foot.
Yeah. I'm still keeping this episode going because I have to give this woman her proper respect and figure out what her name is.
Yup. So hold on, I'm gonna give some B-roll.
Okay,
language.
so here we go. Domishi.
Ooh,
Yeah.
cool.
And it's set in Toronto, which I thought was cool.
That's cool.
And I was like, is this just because we're in Toronto? And then the Dork Shelf's podcast, The Shelf, spoke to her, and nope, it's in Toronto, and every market you'll see it in because she was raised in Toronto, and she wanted to make sure that was replicated
I'm liking that.
and represented. Great, thank you for listening.
World stage, baby. Toronto finally made it.
We did it.
Yep.
All right,
Cheers.
bye bye.
This has been a TDF Everything production, brah.